All righty, did you know it's tick season? Lyme disease is transmitted through the bite of infected ticks. Visit Atco Pest Control's website today to learn more and take control at atcopestcontrol.com. And today's fun fact is the San Francisco Giants now 6-1 since Willard wrote them off a week ago after they got beat by the Dodgers.
I think that phrase is inaccurate. It is unacceptable. They're 6-1 since Willard inspired their asses.
Okay.
And by the way, they should be 7-0. They should be 7-0. Then again, they should be 5-2.
Yeah,
Shouldn't have won the last two games. Yeah, that series was drunk. That was drunker
crazy.
than Dibs at a party with Jared Goff.
Hello.
Nobody won the games they were supposed to win.
There'll be brighter games ahead, Giants.
Maybe not. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, Marco Luciano with an error in the ninth inning every time.
Wait. Are you telling me he made an error again?
I tried to tell you yesterday he's not a shortstop.
Yeah,
but
you had it first.
You wouldn't listen to me.
No, I was steadfast.
What did I do wrong?
Oh,
Totally.
God. The relief that Marco showed when he tagged that runner out, when Bailey just gunned him down trying to steal. Like, Marco, slapped his thigh, and all I could think of, dude, you're so relieved.
Right.
Oh, my God, you're so relieved that the catcher threw out the guy that you let on the base.
It's just setting him up. I mean, it was a Chris Paul lob to TJD. We wanted Patrick Bailey to have a chance to do something special.
Hey, Luciano's base running in the eighth also won them the game.
Mm-hmm.
That also won them the game.
What'd he do? We couldn't keep our eyes on him.
So Luciano, Wilmer Flores gets a base hit as a pinch hitter to tie the game.
Okay.
Then Luciano pinch runs for him, which ended up being it's an obvious one, but it's a really good move. Joey Bart, of all people, is the catcher.
Oh, jeez.
One of the next pitches from Aroldis Chapman is in the dirt, and it just does the bounce and roll 2 feet away. Luciano jumps it, gone. And Bart tries to recover, throw to second, not in time. Luciano's at second. 2 pitches later, fastball right down Broadway. Bart just misses it. And again, rolls 2 feet away. Boom, Luciano's gone, makes it to third. And then with 2 strikes.
I saw that one.
Yeah, then with 2 strikes, it was right to him. And then Brett Wisely got the base hit and brought Luciano in. That aggressive base running set them up. And that was the game-winning run.
Well, it might have won him the game last night, too.
Maybe.
Because Reynolds makes that error in left field. It allows, Matos, I think, to get to second base, and then he scores on
Correct.
He scores on his...
But both of them deserve credit for Johnny on-the-spot base running.
No doubt.
You know? But
the glove will come.
The errors are unsettling.
Sorry.
They're unsettling. But that was a fun series.
It was a wild series,
It was a fun series.
Very fun, very wild.
I asked Evan this about 2 minutes ago. We should have our guys reach out to Elias. Has any team in the history of baseball ever hit grand slams in back-to-back games and lost them both?
I just saw that stat, and it has happened a few times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's a sport where something has happened before, it's probably baseball.
Has it ever happened where both the people hitting the grand slams used to play for the team that they were hitting the grand slam again?
That's a good point.
In the dead ball era.
In the dead ball era, yeah. In Pittsburgh on a Thursday.
Did Reynolds ever have an at-bat with the San Francisco Giants?
I don't think so. I think he was a minor leaguer. I think he was a minor leaguer only, but a big-time prospect, obviously.
Yeah. Stephen A. Smith coming on.
Yeah.
Indeed.
You better be careful.
Indeed.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And I was watching his rant. It wasn't even really a rant. It was more of an explainer.
Can you catch us up on it? Because I'm not even sure the backstory.
Yeah, and he was talking about Draymond, and he felt like that Draymond betrayed Stephen A. because Stephen A. is a guy who always will call you or text you when he's going to say something about you, and he felt like Draymond didn't extend him that same courtesy when he came on to the Shaq pod and, kind of went at Stephen A. Smith. And so that, I think, was the crux of why Stephen A. was a little bit offended, because he feels like he's always had Draymond's back. He's been a Draymond defender, even when he has been suspended so many times. He's never questioned Draymond's character, and he felt like, anytime he talks about anybody in that vein, he always tries to either call or text.
And to build on this, by the way, we'll play the actual sound for everybody here really soon. Stephen A. is going to be on in, what's 8 plus 15?
23 minutes, yeah.
So Stephen A. is going to be on really soon, and we'll play for everybody what Draymond said. And Draymond said, this is again coming, it's kind of like the Bonte thing.
Yeah.
Coming out of the suspension, Stephen A. said something that stuck with Draymond, and Draymond said, quote, I lost a lot of respect for Stephen A. because we are people, we know the people behind the words. He's like, I know Stephen A., right? A lot of bluster. He's like, but he's actually a really good dude, which is true. And Stephen A. has always done the same for Draymond, but he's like, but when I got suspended, he just rode the wave against me, and so I lost a lot of respect. Stephen A. on First Take today is like, here's what I said. Is there anything wrong with this? And in this case, Stephen A. is completely right. Like, it was not a job on Draymond at all. So Stephen A. just fired right back. No, I've lost a lot of respect for you. So here we go. And so we extended the platform to see if Stephen would like to talk directly to the Warrior fan base.
Awesome.
And he kindly accepted.
Yeah.
Because he is a good dude.
Yeah. I got my piece of advice to both of them would be, you guys better be careful. I don't want... No.
That's a 1 because you didn't sell it.
I know.
You could have sold it.
I know.
You had it. You had it.
You were smiling before you said it. Total lack of commitment.
You could have went for it.
Total lack of commitment.
But you know Stephen A. better than maybe any of us in the room. You've had him on the show 5 or 6 times, and he is the kind of guy where, and he said this in the piece, he's like, I haven't changed my number in 20 years. It's the same number. If you want to find me, give me a call. And we gave him a call.
Confirmed.
Right.
Confirmed, because,
you called him at like 12:45 and at 12:52.
Yeah.
You're like, boom, Stephen A.
No, Stephen A. he's a good dude.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I think I might owe you an apology.
I'll say.
Because when we teased that you guys were having Stephen A. Smith on,
you said
somebody
Nahigian,
said, wow, great. I said it was a Nahigian special.
Not this one.
How do you know Stephen A.?
I used to work at ESPN for a long time.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
A long time is relative.
What? No.
What were you doing there?
He was delivering hot
radio.
takes.
Yeah.
ESPN radio?
No. So, first of all, I used to host it at ESPN LA.
Keep it coming, Grandy.
Radio station in LA.
Okay.
However, it was also at the same time when ESPN was trying to start building its West Coast studios right? They've always been in Bristol.
Yep.
But the LA Live studios were born, and we were all right there. Like, our studios were in the same complex.
Whoop.
I hosted Sports Nation a few times.
Whoop, whoop.
I know Stephen A. Smith. That's how I know. I know Stephen A. He's a good dude.
Feels like it was a regional telecast.
This is an ESPN flex for your boy, a 4-letter flex.
Some of what I did was regional. Some of it wasn't.
Yeah.
You were a part of the mothership.
I was very much a part of the mothership.
That's pretty cool.
And yeah, Stephen A. is one of those. And believe me,
mothership connection.
You meet a lot of people, and some of them are the egos are as big as you would think, and some of them are not. And Stephen A. is probably the poster for, like, he not like what you would think based on the persona.
I mean, I really do feel like he considers himself an actor, like a movie guy.
He's a performer for sure,
right.
For sure.
Exactly.
They know what they're doing.
Like, I don't think he's the same way off camera. He's not that
braggadocious or blustery.
Blustery. I'm sure he's not. He can't be that blustery off.
He's a good dude. He helps people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's down to help people.
And what he said in his retort to Draymond, I think, is true, that he will call people. If he is going to have a take about Jason Tatum, he'll reach out to Jason and say, hey, just give him a call or give him a text and say, just so you know, I'm going to probably go in on you today if you want to talk about it before.
The other thing is, I don't know, and again, we'll play all this for you because we're referencing stuff that's now happened in some cases a month or two ago. But if you listen to what Stephen A. said that made Draymond mad, it was not that bad at all. I thought he said what was obvious. He was like, look, I've defended this guy for so long, but you get to a point where you appear, whether true or not, you appear out of control. And it totally felt that way, at minimum at that time. To a lot of us, it's felt like that the whole time. But like when you the Gobert and the Nurkic, and it's all lined up, and you get the warning and you come back and do it right away again, it's like, that's not an unfair statement at all.
Right.
No, I mean, he also qualified. I love when he breaks down the math of the number of takes that he is required to give out both every day
right.
every month, every year, and it amounts to something like 4,000 takes a year.
70 takes a week.
70 takes a week.
More than 3,000 takes a year.
14 or 15. He also qualifies it by saying on First Take because he's got other platforms
takes.
that he can
Sure does.
take
The pod, yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I just think it's true, though. It's like you're eventually going to say something that's going to get somebody pissed off, and Draymond Green's a pretty polarizing subject. So I just think it's interesting how, I mean, Draymond and now his version of new media, he'll go after, whatever athlete he so chooses, and that is quote-unquote fair game. But when someone will come down his road, selectively, it's not always fair.
Oh, you're touching on it.
It just doesn't really make sense to me, especially with how he is now being a part of the media. I feel like after a few years, he would understand more about that aspect.
I think you're hitting on the exact thing. To simplify that, it's the classic person who can dish it but can't take it, and that's tough for people. That's tough for people. I think it's a tough nut for Draymond to crack, to come after people because they talk too much. That's a pretty tough, right?
Yeah.
That's a pretty hard thing for him to sell.
Or that they're not in the postseason kind of deal,
Yeah.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Once again, Stephen A. Smith coming up at 2:15 with Willard and Dan Dibley.
You almost forgot my name. No, that was crazy.
He was flustered.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
What?
Him.
The boss. The boss is lurking.
He's here.
He's got some.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't have had a look in there, because now you're shaking for the final 10 minutes or so.
Mics are hot.
Yeah.
Mics are always hot. You got to assume the mics are hot.
No doubt.
What about what Draymond said about looking forward to 5 straight non-playoff seasons?
He didn't
say he's looking forward to it.
Oh, he didn't?
He didn't
Oh, I'm
say
sorry.
that.
You'd have to play the sound for me to fully get the context of it.
I can play it right
It's
now.
a misinterpretation.
Would you
Play it.
please? Sensations.
Here we go.
Thank you.
If you have the opportunity to ring chase
Shaq's pocket.
into your career, they need you, your play, your leadership. Would you do that?
If there is something that I could offer to a team and I'm like, oh, I'm the missing piece there, I can go help that team get over the hump. That's different than like, man, let me go see if I could just fall into one more. No, I want to be able to contribute. But the Warriors will have to not want me anymore. If I had to stay and go to state another 5 years and we not make the playoffs for 5 years straight, I'm totally fine with that. Not because I'm not a competitor, but because I'd rather do it. I'd rather struggle with the same guys that I succeeded with. It ain't about, we struggling now, I need to go that way. Nah, the same way we succeeded together, I'd rather struggle together. As opposed to, oh, I can go over here and do this. As long as they'll have me, I got no reason to ever want to leave that place.
He would not be fine with 5 straight non-playoff seasons. He wasn't good with 1.
Well, first of all, there's so much to unpack.
It's unbelievable.
Well, first of all, I can't believe that he thinks he's playing 5 more seasons. Let's start there. And everyone else around him, apparently. Steph Curry's going to play till he's 42 or something like that.
Right.
But I also, Steiny, I don't think he's saying what you're trying to put into his words here. I don't think he's saying that. That's sort of an over-the-top way of saying my guys are more important to me than just that like a ring or that final result. And I think that's fair. Is that very different than? And I'm one of these people who has said I would rather the Warriors struggle over the next 2 to 3 years with Steph Curry than trade him. I'll stand on that. The Warriors, to me, Steph Curry, anybody who calls up and anybody who has called up and said that, like, you got to start the reboot, I'd rather lose than trade Steph Curry.
Well,
100%.
This is where you're right by saying that's a tough sell for Draymond when he talks like this, and this is what I mean. This is when you say I'm loyal, because that's really what he's saying. I'll go down with the ship with these guys. Well, then we've got to examine his behavior over the last 10 or 12 years, and there have been often times when that hasn't been the case. I mean, this is the same guy who said he can't get up for games in March. This is the same guy who, when Steph got hurt, really didn't want to compete. So, like, the idea of Draymond being okay with losing, like, that's just not right, because he doesn't deal with losing. That's when he's at his worst. So I agree. He was trying to say he was loyal, But to me, what he ended up bringing into the picture is his behavior over the course of his career when he hasn't been the greatest teammate or the best guy to go play a game with. That's all.
That's fair. I think it's a quote that was born out of something else. I think you're right. He was trying to, in an over-the-top way, express how loyal he is to Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors organization.
Right.
I think that's all he was trying to say.
I would agree.
Like, almost under no circumstances would I want to leave.
I think he also might have been asking potentially for the same loyalty from Clay. It's different because he's a free agent, but I think he also might be putting out there, like, this is what I value. I value us together and what we've built. And even if it turns into something that's now ashes, I'm willing to be a part of that also. Clay, if you can, if there's a way to make it happen, I think you should also prioritize that too, instead of trying to potentially go somewhere else and maybe get number 5, which is something that Clay's also discussed being important to him.
Right, but at the same time, if Clay is going to come back, then the expectation will be for Clay to make less than what Draymond's making. So can Draymond rightfully even make that claim to Clay to say, yeah, Clay, you should have that loyalty. You should come back and play with us and, try to chase one more with us, even though you're going to make not only half of what you made, but probably a third of what you made, and you're going to make about $10 million less a year than what I make. But yeah, you go ahead and be loyal because we want you here. We want to do it together.
You don't think Clay's making more than $15 million?
I think if they keep Clay for more than $15 million, they can't add anyone else. So I think that Clay ultimately goes elsewhere for more than 25. I think what the Warriors want to pay him or can pay him is far, far less than what he can make elsewhere.
Yeah, the other thing that stuck out to me about what Draymond said is just like it just doesn't make sense that they're going to have the core together for 3 or 4 more years and they're not winning. It's like, to me, there are people in the organization who still believe this. They've got a window, but the minute they don't have a window, then you're going to have to move off the guys, right? And so the scenario of Draymond being around for 4 years, 4 non-playoff seasons, is like preposterous.
Well, and again, I see that, and I don't think that's what
I know.
I don't think that's what he was saying.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? Like, what if he had said, what if he had said, I'd rather lose for 10 straight years than leave these guys. Then we would have taken it differently because we know, like, he's not actually counting the years.
Well, I don't know why he used 5 either.
I was getting another deal after.
I don't know.
Or maybe
is, it's a round number.
Well, you
kind of a
said
thing.
something that may have made sense is he's already counting the 2 years after they won their last title. So he's saying, we didn't win last year, we didn't win this year, and the next 3 years adds up to 5. I don't know.
I was shocked he threw the no playoffs in there, though. I mean, there's a difference between not winning a championship. It also spoke to me like the fact that it seems for the first time like a member of the Big Three has considered that they will never win again and publicly speak on that. I mean, I've never heard a tone of...
I still think it's just an over-the-top thing you throw out. It's like, that song, like I would walk 10,000 miles and
Right.
I'd walk 10,000 more. It's like, well, no, we're just throwing out stuff to go over the top to explain that he doesn't want to leave the Warriors.
Right.
And what actually goes through my mind is less about Draymond and it's more about Clay. Because Steph and Draymond have now publicly stated this is about this group come hell or high water until the end, whether it's ugly or pretty. And we have not heard that yet from Clay. I'm starting to lean, and I go back and forth on this, but
Sure.
I'm leaning back in the direction that is what Clay is going to end up wanting. But it is going to be about how the Warriors present that to him and what it'll cost.
Right.
But that's the question that goes into my head. Is Clay also on the, hey, whatever, I'm with my guys to ride out my career?
Right.
That's the one I don't know.
For $15 million a year,
Or whatever.
I mean,
whatever it is.
To me, it comes down to what you were talking about in the end of that, which is the cost. Because if you're Clay, do you want to come back and make half of what you can make somewhere else, all in the interest of doing it with your guys? It's not about him going out and chasing a championship. If you're Clay, you're a free agent. And if somebody wants to pay you a lot more than this team wants to pay you, then you're not chasing a championship. You're just making the most you can make, I think.
I mean, do you think
Also curious what Draymond thinks is ring chasing, because there's a lot of good teams, I think, that might fall short of the championship this year that he could look at and say, yeah, he could look at Denver and be like, well, they're not a title team this year. I could be the difference on that team. I would consider that ring chasing.
Yes. Or going to OKC or going to LA
or Boston or whoever.
That would be ring chasing.
But but in his mind, that would be the difference. I'm the difference.
I mean, I make a huge distinction. Like he's under contract for 3 more years. So if he gets traded to Oklahoma City, he gets traded to Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
But, when you're talking about ring chasing, I always envision it's a free agent.
Yeah.
Who's going somewhere.
I don't know why that ring chasing has gotten such a bad name when... I mean, wouldn't you want to go somewhere, if you're at the end of your career, wouldn't you want to go somewhere and have the chance to win?
We loved the people who did it here.
Exactly.
David West was a ring chaser.
Kevin Durant was a ring chaser. The ultimate ring chaser.
Matt Barnes.
I mean, he could have gone anywhere.
It's a little different when you're like the best player.
Right,
it's
but he went to a place where he had a pretty good idea that he could win.
We're sponsored by Scandinavian Designs Furniture, by the way. Now I'll let you do your thing.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't forget, everybody. 2:15, that's in 5 minutes. Stephen A. Smith joining Willard and Dibs on 95.7